year 2 on this Monday morning. We're moving on in English today to a brand new topic, and the picture might give you a little bit of a clue, but we're moving on to a topic all about the Great Fire of London. So I want you to be having a think. Do you know anything about London already? Do you know what the Great Fire of London is or when it happened? Do you know why this fire happened? So there's lots of things that might be going through your brain. You might know lots already, a little bit, or nothing at all. All of those are fine. We're going to be finding out a little bit more every English lesson. So the first thing I want you to do to warm our brains up is have a look at the picture on your screen. And this is the Great Fire of London. And I just want you to write a 2 AD sentence for the picture. Just jot down some ideas or some adjectives for the picture. So it might be, the building was full of hot, smoking flames. We've got hot and smoking. You could talk about the sky being the colour of crimson or the colour of orange, bright red fire, the ebony sky. Just jot down some adjectives. Maybe pause my video and jot down some adjectives. Okay? So, hopefully you've done that. Before we watch a video, we're going to watch a poem all about the Great Fire of London. But before we do, let me tell you a little bit about the Fire of London. So it happened in London, which is our capital city. So it's got lots and lots of people, hasn't it? Because it's a city, okay? It happened on the 2nd of September, 1666. So over 300 years ago. So think about life 300 years ago. It's going to be very different to how life is today, isn't it? In the poem you're going to watch, you'll see a little bit of how this fire started. When you're watching it, I want you to be thinking of a few things. So I want you to be thinking, how large was the fire? How long did this fire burn for? How many buildings were destroyed? How many people died? And how did it start and end? Okay, so a few things to just be thinking about as you watch the video. You can keep going back and watch the video more than once, which you'll probably want to do, because by the end of this lesson, what you're going to do is on your thought bubbles, which are in your pack, which look like this, you're going to jot down some things you want to find out about this Great Fire of London. So some things you'd like to research more about, or you'd like us to tell you more about in the topic. Okay, so let's have a look at the video first of all. So, off we go.
London's burning, London's burning. Fetch the engine, fetch the engine. Fire, 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 fire. Pour on water, pour on water. London's burning, London's burning. Fetch the engine, fetch the engine. Fire, fire, fetch the engine. Fire on water, fire on water. Pour on water, pour on water.
Okay, so you can see it looked like a huge tragedy, didn't it? It looked to me as if lots and lots of buildings were on fire. Lots and lots of people. It looked like there were lots of bodies on the ground. How it started and ended, we didn't see that yet, did we? But we could see that it was a huge fire, and they kept saying, fire, fire, pour on water, call the engine. So the engine must be the fire engine. So it must be the fire engine and the water that ended this fire. Think about how fires usually start. Maybe pause the video. What could have been the cause of this fire? Okay. So let's have a look at some facts. Here's London on our map. You can see here. Here's Manchester where we are. London's our capital, much bigger than where we live. It started in a bakery, okay, in an oven. So it was an oven that they've left on and the fire started. And it's the firemen and the rain, the snow that's put out this fire. It lasted an absolute ridiculous amount of time. It wouldn't last this long with the technology we've got today. It lasted over 3 days, okay? And it burnt lots and lots of buildings, okay? Lots of the streets was completely destroyed. I don't want to give too much away. If you do want to research a little bit more in between these lessons, you can do. So your job is going to be to write some questions before I give too much away, okay? So these are some that I've come up with. So how did it start? So I've touched on it being in a bakery, but there's lots more to it. You could think about how hot was the fire, how large was the fire, did the Queen die? Because the Queen was in London. How many people died? Who set the first fire? How many years ago? So we talked about that at the start. How many buildings were burnt? So I want you on your sheet that looks like this to jot down some either of those questions or some of your own. And you can research and find the answers for yourself, or you can wait till later lessons and we'll talk about them. Okay? So jot down some of your thoughts and start thinking about the Great Fire of London. Enjoy.